Welcome to our 2025 webinar series. Throughout this year's series, we will journey through the galaxy of insurance planning, making stops at various planets to see what each world of protection can offer. In today's presentation, A Space Odyssey, Navigating the Mysteries of Underwriting, we'll explore the intricacies of the underwriting process, breaking down the key areas that drive assessment and the technology that is shaping the future. Each webinar will last about 50 minutes, and you must be logged in for the full 50 minutes to receive CFP credit. Please be sure to ask questions as you have them by typing them into the questions box. We'll answer all questions as best we can. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be posted to our website within 24 hours. Today's presenter joined LLIS in 2015 as a case manager and assumed the role of supervisor of the new business team in June of 2024. Here to present on underwriting is Misha Brennan.
Hi, thanks everyone for tuning in today as we go on this space odyssey, navigating the mysteries of underwriting. So buckle up and prepare for launch as we navigate the vast universe of underwriting. And I want to point out real quick, this is a real photo taken by our IT manager, Dave, with his telescope, as well as a few other photos that he sent to us so that we could use in this presentation. So shout out to Dave. So why do we need insurance? Well, the short, quick answer is protection. We want to protect our income and our assets, whether we're buying homeowners insurance, car insurance, health insurance, with life, disability, and long-term care insurance, we are protecting against financial loss. And life is an unpredictable journey. We want to prepare for every possible challenge, and with life insurance, it ensures that you and your loved ones are protected no matter what lies ahead. And it's a safety shield. Life insurance provides a financial shield, safeguarding your family from those unexpected challenges. It also is a secure landing for loved ones. Life insurance ensures that your family's financial future stays on course, even if you're no longer there to guide them. And it also helps to navigate the unknown with confidence. Look at it as your financial backup system, giving you peace of mind that no matter what happens, your loved ones have a stable future. And it can also be a legacy. Life insurance can help you leave behind a legacy, ensuring that your impact is felt for generations to come. So who needs life insurance? Well, you, me, your clients, everyone needs life insurance because everyone needs their finances and assets to be protected. When? Now. You are never younger and healthier than you are right now. Where? Here at LLIS. We are here to help. So we can run as many quotes as your clients would like to see with the different insurance companies, and then have them apply with the one company that will best fit their needs. So now that we've talked about the why, who, when, and where, we're going to give an overview of current underwriting. We will discuss the three main underwriting paths: full, accelerated, and automated underwriting. And we will discuss the future of underwriting and how technology will play a role. So what is underwriting? Well, underwriting is assessing and classifying the degree of risk the insured represents to the insurance company. The underwriter will review a lot of information about your client and decide whether to accept or decline the risk. The higher the risk, the higher the premium. So here we have the underwriting classes. There are predetermined premiums associated with these classifications, and that allows us to quote the different companies. We also have the underwriting guidelines for the different companies so that we can accurately quote. Preferred Plus, Preferred, and Standard Plus are the elite class. These are individuals that have stellar health, optimal lifestyle choices, and minimal risk factors, earning them the most favorable rates. These are people that have a longer than average life expectancy. Then we have standard. With this classification, these individuals, while they may have a minor risk factor or two, they're still in a prime position for favorable coverage. There's nothing that throws their orbit off course. These are people that have an average life expectancy, and this is what most people are approved at. Next, we have table ratings. This is for those people with a higher risk factor, chronic health conditions, hazardous occupations. This bucket accounts for that extra turbulence in their journey. While they may face higher premiums, they're still provided coverage to navigate life's unpredictable journey. And depending on the insurance company, there are between 10 to 15 different table ratings. And these are people that are at a higher risk to the insurance company. Next, we have flat extras. Now, we typically see this when someone participates in a hazardous activity or hobby. And just as astronauts must be assigned the right equipment for their mission, underwriting classes ensure that every policyholder is placed in the right bucket for their journey. So no matter where you land, there's a place for everyone in the vast universe of life insurance. Now, within all these buckets, there are male and female rates. Men will pay more for life insurance than women because women have a longer life expectancy. Then women pay more for disability and long-term care insurance. There's also smoker and non-smoker rates. Smoker rates for life insurance is about 3 times the premium of a non-smoker. So most people think that if you are healthy, that they should be eligible for the best class. And while health is a major factor, underwriting is like navigating deep space. There are many forces that influence your journey. So there are 4 main areas that are looked at when assessing risk. There is lifestyle, medical, financial, and family history. And we'll go into more details with each of these. So some areas of lifestyle underwriting are hazardous activities, marijuana, drug, and alcohol use, the driving record, and foreign travel. So certain sports and hobbies carry an increased risk of injury or death. Underwriters must become familiar with the risk and how to appropriately assess them. So some common examples of hazardous activities are aviation, mountaineering, scuba diving, and race car driving. So let's take a closer look at the type of detail that we would need to gather if one of your clients participates in one of these activities. So if they're a pilot, we would need to know what kind of pilot. Are they a student pilot, a private pilot, or a commercial pilot? We would also need to know what kind of airplane do they fly. Is it a Cessna, a 747, or is it an experimental aircraft that they built in their garage? If they participate in mountaineering, well, what mountain do they climb? What season do they go climbing? Do they climb in the summer when it's perfect weather? Or are they going climbing in the middle of winter where it's snowy and icy? If it's in the middle of the winter, it's probably going to carry on more risk. And we have questionnaires on each of these that help us gather the needed details. And remember, just because someone participates in one of these activities does not mean that they will be declined. So if someone participates in a hazardous activity, they may receive a flat extra rating on that policy. As financial advisors, I'm sure you've seen some of your clients that scuba dive and they're approved at the best class, while others receive a flat extra rating, and you've probably wondered why. Well, remember, the underwriter is assessing the risk. So for most of your clients, they're what we call resort scuba diving. They scuba dive maybe once or twice a year while they're on vacation. They're diving with a supervised group, and they're only diving down 20, maybe 30 feet deep, while others may be wreck diving, which is scuba diving in wrecked ships, and they may be diving down 100 feet, maybe even more. So let's look at an example of how an underwriter assesses the risk between resort scuba diving and wreck scuba diving. So here we have a 40-year-old in great health applying for 1 million 30-year term at preferred plus rates. With resort scuba diving, that annual premium would be $1,075 a year. With the wreck scuba diving, we would be looking at a $2 per 1,000 flat extra rate. That annual premium would be $3,075 per year. So underwriters look at marijuana use. And before COVID, this was the quickest changing thing in underwriting. And marijuana has been approved in many states for recreational use and just about every state for medical use. So we've seen a lot of changes in the underwriting of this drug. To make an assessment, we need to know how often. Is it twice a year or is it twice a day? How much when they use and what form. There are so many options nowadays with what form. Are they smoking? Are they vaping? There's just a whole bunch of different kinds of edibles to use. There's the gummies, the chocolate bear. I've even seen tea. So we need to find out what form, when was the last time used? And is it for recreational or medicinal use? If it's being used for medicinal use, we need to know the medical condition it's being used for. Is it being used for anxiety? Is it to help with the lower back pain? And based upon all these answers, they can get anywhere from a preferred plus to a decline, depending on the company. And it does not matter what state you live in, is underwritten the same in every state because it's still against federal law. So insurance companies order your driving history report as part of the underwriting process. Underwriters will need to assess how safely you navigate the highways of Earth. So clients with a clean record, free of violations, are like seasoned astronauts with a perfect mission history, earning them the best underwriting classifications. So underwriters will look at how many speeding tickets, have they had any at-fault accidents, and if so, how many? Any DUIs? If they've have, is it one or did they just have their fifth one? And have they ever had any driver's license suspensions? Now, if someone's had one speeding ticket, that is fine. No one cares. If they've received multiple speeding tickets and in a short period of time, that is considered risky. And the underwriter is going to look at it as they are more likely to take on other risks. So some destinations are safe and predictable. Others, due to political instability, health risk, or high crime rates, could increase underwriting concerns. So underwriters will look at where are they traveling, how long, and what's the purpose. Are they going to Paris on a family vacation? Or are they going to Nigeria to volunteer on a mission trip? In the Nigeria case, do they have access to clean water, sanitation? Are they exposed to any diseases? And is there any civil unrest in the area? Or are Americans a target in that location? Now, the U.S. Department of State issues travel advisories 1 through 4. 1 is fine. A 2 most of the time is okay. A 3 would mean reconsider travel to that location, and a 4 means do not travel to that location for any reason. So, for example, right now, Jamaica is a decline with most insurance companies. Also, Honduras, some areas of India for Central and East India, some areas of Costa Rica. Even last week, the U.S. Department of State bumped up the travel advisory for the Bahamas, which is very popular at your travel too. So they're now at a 2, and we're watching it closely. So, don't panic if any of your clients have a trip to any of these locations coming up. Like if they have a trip to May, and if it's one of these more risky places, we can simply wait till they return back from their trip in a few weeks and submit an application right after that. So now that we've talked about lifestyle underwriting, let's go into medical underwriting. Now, 50 years ago, people did not have exams done when they applied for life insurance. That really started in the 1980s due to the AIDS epidemic. Then when I started working at LLIS, everyone had an exam done, even if they were 25 years old and only applying for 100,000. Then around 2015 is when some insurance companies started to roll out a lab-free process, and that really expanded during COVID. Currently, depending on the company, they offer anywhere from 1 million all the way up to 10 million for the potential of no exam, and depending on the insurance company and the age of the insured. But the lab-free process is not guaranteed. There are knockout questions, medications, bankruptcy, citizenship that may make someone not eligible for the lab-free process. And even if someone passes through the knockout questions, insurance companies take about 10% of the people that are left, and they will order labs on them anyway as part of their internal auditing. So your clients may say, why me? Well, it could be their age, the amount they're applying for, or it could be something as simple as a prescription medication that they're taking. These are just a few things that can trigger an exam. Another common question that we get is, does it cost me anything? No, the insurance company pays for the exam. It helps them get the needed detail that they need to be able to make an approval, so they're paying the cost of the exam. Now, some helpful hints for your clients to get the best results. Make sure you're well hydrated, that you get a good night's sleep, that you can fast between 6 to 8 hours. Try to limit salt or high cholesterol foods for at least 24 hours ahead of the exam. And do not have a real intense workout right before an exam. If you have a very intense workout before an exam, it can make protein in the urine, and the underwriter does not have a way of knowing, was it the workout or is there a health condition that would cause that protein to be in the urine? So you have a pass, no heavy workouts 24 hours before the exam. So before granting clearance for your life insurance journey, underwriters run a prescription database check. much like mission control scanning an astronaut's medical logs before liftoff. The prescription database report shows prescription medications prescribed going back 5 years. They can see the date that it was prescribed, the dosing instructions, the doctor's name, and even sometimes it'll include a specialty if the doctor has a specialty. Now, medications are coded red, yellow, and green, just like a traffic light. Your red medications would be like your chemotherapy medications, AIDS treatment meds. These are more likely to result in a decline. Yellow would be anxiety or depression medications. Now, certain prescriptions, like those for chronic illnesses, have a high risk condition. They can act kind of like as a warning signal that would trigger that underwriter to maybe order medical records. Now, your green medications, an example would be like birth control or maybe antibiotics that were prescribed 6 months ago, not a concern. And do not have a friend or family member write a prescription in your name unless they keep medical records on you. And physicians should not write their own prescriptions. These have all been things that have occurred that have become an issue. So your past health conditions are like documenting past storms. Underwriters examine these records to help them try to predict future risk. Now, with medical records, it's typically the longest part of the underwriting process. A lot of people think that the insurance company just orders records directly from the doctor, but all insurance companies use a third-party vendor like Exam One. And just about all doctors now use a copy service, which is a third-party company, to handle their medical records for them. So back in the day, the doctor's office would have a secretary that could copy the records, but that does not exist anymore. So here's how it works. We have a client that is applying for insurance and the underwriter's like, we need to obtain medical records for this client. So they're ordering records from the primary care. The insurance company is going to send the request to their vendor, Exam One. Exam One sends the authorization form to the doctor's office. Now, that doctor's office may say, wait a minute, we have our own special facility-based authorization form that we require that the client hand sign. So they need a wet signature for it. In that situation, the special authorization form is sent to the insurance company so they can send it to us. We're able to send it to their client. The client hand signs it, then they return it, and it makes its way back to that doctor's office. Well, now that doctor's office is going to send the authorization form to their copy service company. That company needs to log in the request, process the medical records. They send the invoice is paid, and finally, those medical records make it to the underwriter at the insurance company. Well, now the underwriter's reviewing the records and they see all kinds of notations about a specialist, a cardiologist. Well, obviously, they need to know what in the world is going on with the cardiologist, right? Or any specialist for that matter. So in that situation, now all these steps would need to be repeated so that they could order the records from the cardiologist. So you can see how it is very, very important for your clients to tell us and the insurance company about any specialist that they have. Because if the insurance company would have known about the cardiologist up front, they would have just ordered records from the cardiologist. They would not have taken the time to order the records from the primary care. So telling us about all of their doctors and any specialist up front can help save a lot of time. So we often receive comments from clients that say, if my doctor is not concerned about my cholesterol, then why is the insurance company? Well, there's a difference between clinical medicine and insurance underwriting. With clinical medicine, Doctors have the luxury of treating their patients over a long period of time, and they can adjust treatment as needed. With insurance underwriting, unlike doctors, underwriters have a very small window of opportunity to evaluate a client's medical condition and decide based on that information the most likely outcomes. The underwriter has to account for what could occur over the next 10, 20, or even 30 years, depending on the term length of the policy. And the underwriter cannot change their assessment 20 years down the road if their health changes. So, in other words, your doctor is treating the patient. The underwriter is assessing risk. And unlike your doctor, the insurance company is on the hook for $3 million if that's what they're applying for. So, of course, they're going to be stricter than your doctor. So while we're on the topic of cholesterol, let's use Mr. Astronaut as an example. So he's applying for insurance and his total cholesterol is 225. It should be under 200. And his total cholesterol over HDL, the cholesterol ratio, is 4.7. It should be under 5. So you can see here that with company A, they would approve him at preferred rates because his total cholesterol is over 200. Then with company B, they would also approve him at preferred rates since his ratio is 4.7, which is over the 4.5 limit. Now, Quest Diagnostics says that the ratio should be under 5, which our Mr. Astronaut's is. But with this particular company, they're saying that if you want preferred plus, your ratio needs to not just be normal, it needs to be low. The MIB, and no, this is not Men in Black from the movie, and I'm probably really dating myself for mentioning that. That, in case you don't know, is a movie that was back in 1997. But no, it's not the Men in Black. This is the Medical Information Bureau, which is an insurance database that whenever you apply for life, disability, long-term care, or even health insurance, your name goes into the database. It is comprised of member companies who participate by reporting insurance activity and medical history to the MIB. The MIB discloses the reported details to other insurers. So there's two main purposes of the MIB. One is to protect against insurance fraud. If our Mr. Astronaut applied 6 months ago and received smoker rates, quit smoking, and is now applying again with a second new company, that new companies will be able to see that he got smoker rates just 6 months ago. And now the new company's looking at the application and he's saying that he never used any nicotine products. So you can see it protects the insurance company as well as us because we all pay for fraud through higher premiums. The second purpose of the MIB is to make sure someone isn't overshired. Let's use me as an example. Let's say I'm applying for 1 million with 6 different companies to get the best offer. Shopping for quotes is a great idea, but applying for multiple companies at the same time is not a great idea. So each company will see each other's applications as pending, and technically I could place all 6 policies even if I don't financially qualify for that amount. It also looks like someone may be trying to hide something. So let us be your personal shopper. Remember, as many quotes as you want is fine, but then find the one company that best fits your needs and apply with that company. So earlier I went over the traditional process of ordering medical records. Well, it's becoming more frequent for insurance companies to obtain the electronic health records. With improved technology, it's becoming more and more common for insurance companies to be able to order and receive the electronic health records. The traditional way of ordering records, remember, is at least 30 days. With electronic health records, the insurance company is getting that in a day or two, so a lot faster. The, the problem with insurance companies that they run into is not all doctors share their records so that they can be obtained electronically. Also, sometimes what insurance companies receive is just too vague, and then they need to still order records the traditional way in order to get that detail that they're looking for in order to make it an approval. So let's take a look. Here's an example of what an electronic health record looks like. So you see here, it shows generalized anxiety disorder, but it does not show how well it's controlled. Also, we can see that some labs were ordered, but it doesn't show us the results. So in this situation, the insurance company would need to order the full records the traditional way in order to get the details that they're looking for. So a space mission requires proper funding and planning. And when someone applies for life insurance, there is financial underwriting. For your clients, the purpose of life insurance is typically going to be for income replacement. Now, for income replacement, the amount of the death benefit they qualify for is a multiple based on the client's age and their current annual income. For example, if someone's making $25,000 a year, they cannot apply for $20 million in life insurance. They would be worth more dead than alive. Then there's the homemaker or the stay-at-home parent. Now, these people used to be limited to only being able to apply for a $500,000 face amount, but now, as long as their spouse has at least the amount that they're applying for in existing coverage, we're seeing stay-at-home parents be able to qualify for 1 million, 1.5 million, so higher face amounts, which is very good. Estate protection. The amount of the death benefit allowed is based on the client's net worth and the estimated estate taxes that will need to be paid. And then there's business insurance. So with business insurance, there's buy-sell. That's based on the value of the business plus the percentage that you own. And then key man is going to be a multiple of your salary. So let's say Mark and I both own LLIS, and we each own 50% of the business, and it's worth $2 million. Then we both could apply for $1 million each. However, sometimes we can tack on some key man within that same policy. Then we may be able to apply for 1.5 million each. Now, just as astronomers predict planetary orbits based on past data, underwriters look at family medical history to foresee potential health risks. Now, they're usually only concerned about parents and siblings with a history or death of heart disease, cancer, kidney disease, diabetes, or stroke. Now, long-term care is concerned about family history of Alzheimer's, and it can affect the amount of long-term care or even the ability to be approved for long-term care if they have parents with Alzheimer's. So we went over the 4 areas of underwriting: lifestyle, medical, financial, and family history. So now let's talk about technology and the 3 main underwriting paths. So remember, when I started working at LLIS, all companies had insureds go through full underwriting. That's when the client's completing the exam and medical records are being ordered. Then around 6 or 7 years ago is when some companies started rolling out the accelerated process, where an underwriter will determine whether they can waive the exam and or maybe waive ordering medical records, depending on the criteria the insurance company sets. With advancements in technology, more and more insurance companies are rolling out and starting to use automated underwriting. Automated underwriting is when the underwriting guidelines have been programmed in and the computer makes the decision, that makes the approval. So let's take a closer look at how that works. So with automated underwriting, we submit what's called a ticket. The client will complete either a phone interview or an online e-interview with the insurance company directly. There's some standard database reports that all insurance companies run. So the prescription database report will be run, the driving history report will be run, the MIB, medical claims, and consumer reports. The computer will determine the offer. We get an instant approval. Sounds great, right? For accelerated underwriting, we currently submit the same way. We submit that ticket, the client will complete a phone interview or that online e-interview, those standard reports are run, and then the underwriter will decide if they can waive the exam and or medical records and go ahead and make an approval, or the underwriter will decide, no, they need to order an exam or maybe even order the medical records as well, and then make the approval. So what are the pros and cons of automation? Well, one thing is that quick approval. Who wants to wait 2 to 3 months for an approval when we can get a quick approval? Also, the approvals may be better than quoted. We quote conservatively. So we've seen a lot of clients with automated approvals be approved better than quoted. There's consistent underwriting, no human error. There's less requirements. The client doesn't need to fast or have an exam done, and the insurance company does not need to spend money on the exam or the medical records. Also, it allows underwriters to focus on the more complicated cases. And there's a shortage of underwriters, so the younger and healthier clients can go through automation. Well, let's take a look at the cons. Well, one is no one is seeing the client. So there is a big concern from the insurance company about increases in fraud. In 2024, last year, there was $74 billion that they caught in fraud. That's billion dollars with a B. For 2025, they're anticipating that it's going to be at least $100 billion in fraud, maybe even higher. The approvals may be worse than quoted, and it's difficult to get the reason. Some examples would be the approval may say it's due to the prescription and or medical claims database. And you're like, what? Was it a prescription medication? Was it the medical claims? And if so, what medication? What insurance claim? So it's very vague. The client may need to order their consumer report, and the consumer reports are tough to understand. So they may need to send it to us, and we're more than happy to take a look at it. But sometimes even we can't figure it out. In the past, we've even had to send it to the insurance company, and sometimes they have trouble understanding it. And then also approvals are starting to be based upon a score more often. So let's take a little closer look at that. So using scores for an approval. We see here this person has a blood pressure of 125/87. Slightly elevated. It should be under 120/80, but still should qualify for preferred plus. Their own blood pressure medications. Their cholesterol is a little elevated. It should be under 200. And their own cholesterol medications, but again, still eligible for preferred plus. They have one speeding ticket, slightly overweight, but still eligible for preferred plus. So back in the day, meaning just 2 years ago, This person would be approved at preferred plus rates. But now they're using this scoring system. So they look at it as this person has 6 dings against them. So they may be approved at preferred or even standard plus. And honestly, someone's blood pressure, cholesterol, and build are all risk factors for cardiovascular disease. So maybe they shouldn't have been approved at Preferred Plus, but it makes it difficult to quote because when looked at, it's fitting, if you look at these individually, they're fitting into that Preferred Plus guidelines. And, maybe if they only have the blood pressure issue, they could still be approved at Preferred Plus. So, what are some hot topics? Well, there's post-issue underwriting, Ozempic and Wegovy, HIV positive, and genetic testing. So, all life insurance companies have a 2-year contestability period, meaning if you were to die within the first 2 years of the policy, they have the right to order medical records and not pay a claim if someone died of something that was not disclosed. Example, if you had a heart attack 6 months prior to applying and you die of a heart attack a year after placing the policy. And even after a policy is placed in force, the underwriter may order medical records on clients that went through automated or accelerated underwriting. And if they find something that was not disclosed, they can rescind the policy. Now, to rescind a policy for life insurance, they would need to find material misrepresentation. So if someone forgets about a primary care visit last year, that's not a material misrepresentation. It's something big that would have changed their approval that they received or even their ability to be insurable. So Ozempic and Wegovy are so popular right now for weight loss. Almost every time I turn on the TV, there's a commercial for it. And we're seeing daily news headlines about these drugs because they're so new for being used for weight loss. Now, what we're seeing in the news headlines is the side effects while using it. This drug, it's way too new to use for weight loss to know if there's any long-lasting side effects or not. So right now, what we're seeing is that underwriters are adding back half the weight loss in the past year. And underwriters do this anytime a person loses more than 10 pounds in a 12-month period. So for example, if a client has lost 40 pounds in the past 12 months, the underwriter will add 20 pounds to their weight when they're looking at the build charts. Now, they do this because statistically, most people are going to gain back at least half the weight that they lose, and especially if that weight loss is done quickly. So if you have any clients that are using Ozempic and Wegovy for weight loss and they're worried that they need to wait to apply for life insurance, tell them no, they do not need to wait. They can go ahead and apply. If you have any clients that are HIV positive, there is a possibility now that we can obtain life insurance for them. Now, the insurance company may limit the face amount to 1 million, and they will be table rated due to being at a higher risk to the insurance company. But now they have that possibility to obtain life insurance so that they can protect their loved ones. Now, there are some knockout questions that vary slightly depending on the insurance company. Insurance companies typically want to see that the diagnosis has been made at least 3 years prior to the application. So if someone's been recently diagnosed, they may need to wait before applying. The insurance companies also want to see that they're being compliant with their treatment and following up with their doctors as the doctor is recommending. They also do not want to see a history of intravenous drug use, and they do not want to see weight loss. And they're also looking to see if there's any comorbidities like coronary artery disease, diabetes, any cancer. They're going to definitely be looking to see if they're losing weight. But it's really nice that finally, for the HIV positive clients, that they have that potential where they can get that needed life insurance. So we have around 20,000 genes in our bodies. And there are many health conditions that have a genetic link, which is a family history, including cancer, heart disease, and stroke. And then there are rare families who fall into a high risk category in which they tend to have multiple relatives that have a particular disease. Other red flags that underwriters look at is for the development of cancer at a much younger than average age, or individuals who develop multiple primary cancers. So with genetic testing, with the popularity of 23andMe and Ancestry.com, more and more people are doing the genetic testing. Now, some common genetic testing that we see for life insurance would be for like BRCA1 and BRCA2 genes. If they test positive for the mutation, they not only elevate the risk of breast cancer, but also ovarian. So, for example, in a family where we've seen multiple cases of breast cancer, their doctor may recommend that they get tested for BRCA1 and BRCA2. If they test positive for that gene mutation, then their doctor will know to discuss options with them on how to best be proactive and what preventative measures to take. So it's a good thing. An insurance company cannot force you to do genetic testing, but they can ask you if you've had any testing or if they see the notes in your medical records that indicate that you had testing done, they can ask you what the results are. And if the results are in your records, they can use that information to make an offer or decline coverage. Now, the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act, which is the GINA Act of 2008, it protects health insurance companies from using this information, but it does not include life insurance companies. Now, we're starting to see some legislation move forward in individual states. So for right now, Washington and Florida, they've already passed legislation that life insurance companies are prohibited to use genetic information when making an approval. So we may see that and continue to increase in the future. But for now, the majority of the states are still able to use the genetic testing information in making an approval. So let's take a look at the future. Well, one is the electronic health records. So more and more doctors are typing those notes in a computer, and clients have patient portals more and more often. So more insurance companies are using these electronic health records. We're also starting to see more detail included in these electronic health records. And that's really nice because remember, with these electronic health records, they can be received in a day or two instead of that traditional way of ordering records of 30 days. Then there's the dental record database. Insurance companies' biggest concern about the lab-free process is not catching smokers. So with the dental database, if someone has a special cleaning that's used for smokers, the insurance company's not going to give you smoker rates based on that, but it can knock you out of the lab-free process. They'll order an exam and they'll test the person for nicotine. Quest Diagnostics. More insurance companies are having contracts with lab companies. So for example, if someone's diabetic, that insurance company's really just needing to see their glucose level and A1C level history and what it is currently. So they may be able to get this needed detail quicker from this lab database than ordering the medical records. Wearable devices. Many people have a Fitbit, an Apple Watch, a phone. It tracks, your steps, your exercise, food, sleep, stress, you name it. Now, right now, we only know of one company with one product that uses wearable devices, but many companies are talking about it. And we could easily see within the next year or two, see other companies start using it in the underwriting. Initially, it would probably be used voluntarily, maybe to bump you up to a better approval class or maybe a discount, like State Farm offers clients a discount if you agree to let them track your driving history. Others are talking about using it for the length of the policy. Now, you may say, wait a minute, I don't want anyone tracking me. But remember, the insurance company does not want to pay a death claim. They want to keep you healthy. So it could be a win-win, like if they see that you're getting stressed, maybe they can send you a free massage coupon. Or if they see that you're starting to put on a little weight, maybe they'll send you a discount to a gym or maybe even a free gym membership. So it could be a win-win for both the insurance company and the client. Artificial intelligence. AI will continue to be used more and more with health life insurance companies. For example, insurance companies are already using software that can scan medical records and it generates a summary for them to review. This software can scan contents of a 370-page physician report in about 5 minutes. The software creates a summary with a timeline for the underwriter to review. So underwriters are no longer spending hours reading through hundreds of pages of medical records. We're also seeing insurance companies use interactive software where they can, when the client is completing their interview with the insurance company, ask real live for more details. So they're capturing it quickly. So we'll definitely see this. And they're already seeing a 60 to 70% reduction in time spent per case by using technology. So things to help your clients. Remember, standard is average life expectancy, and this is what most people are approved for. Honesty is always the best policy. Encourage your clients to be honest with us and the insurance company. Do not submit multiple applications. It can negatively affect the underwriting process. And remember, full underwriting, traditional underwriting, is typically takes 2 to 3 months. So thank you for attending. And here are our 2025 conferences. I do want to point out real quick, June 10th is our next webinar. Taylor West will be presenting that. It's going to be on protecting the aging planet, a world of long-term care. So be sure to keep a lookout for the email to sign up for that. And let's see if there are any questions. I'm not seeing any. Let's see here. Oh, wait, there's one. Will the slide deck be shared? We can make sure that we send that to you. And it will be posted on our website in just a few days. But if you want a copy for yourself, we can see about sending that to you. So I'll follow up with you. So I know I went a little bit over. So if anyone thinks of any other questions, always feel welcome to email me or call me. We're truly happy to help. So thanks for tuning in and have a good rest of your day.